Hi teman-teman, and welcome to today's storytime session. Today's storytime is a little bit longer than our usual storytime, so you probably want to find a comfy space where you can relax. There's a few words that you'll need to know as we're looking at our particular book today, and we've got those up here on the board. So we've got the word sedih, which we know means sad. We've got our numbers in Indonesian. You guys are already really good with your numbers, so I'm not going to go through those all right now. We've got two sea creatures that we'll come into contact with, our ikan garita, which means octopus, and our ikan, the fish himself. The story that I'm reading you today is called I is for Indonesia, and it's written by Elizabeth Rush. The illustrations are by a fairly famous illustrator called Hara. Yeah? So this text is called I is for Indonesia. Once upon a time, in a land not so far away, there lived a young, bored bat called Bruno Alfonso III. Here's Bruno Alfonso III. Every day in Bruno's short life was the same. Wake up, which is bangun in Indonesian, go to school, pergi ke sekolah, play, which is bermain, and then homework. Ugh. Purple polka dot pajamas, and then back to bed. Day in, day out, things were the same. I think you're feeling a bit that way at home at the moment too, perhaps. Well, Bruno was feeling blue. He was feeling sedih. So Bruno did what he always did when he needed time to think. He walked down to the laut, to the ocean. Something in the distance moved. It was our ikan garita, our octopus. One tentacle appeared, satu. Then two, dua. Then four, empat. Then eight, delapan. Hello, octopus. Hello, said the octopus. Look, just, ayo, go away, said Bruno. I'm not interested in talking to you. I don't know if that's the right response. You might be able to make a friend here. Your problem is a common one, said a starry-eyed cephalopod. You've lost your wonder, that's all, but I know where to find it. Oh, yeah? Where? Said Bruno. Agus placed a suction cap on Bruno's wing and said in a very wise voice, the world is big, besar, and round, and full of adventures. Come on, let's go. To Indonesia. And you can see the friend that's taking him on this journey just down here. Yeah? Ayo, let's go, said the beach critter. Ayo pergi. So they're on an adventure. Well, Bruno jumped into the ocean. Sometimes the waves were wild, but Bruno and Agus swam on. They saw weird fish, and they waxed philosophical about the meaning of life. We know the word for fish. It's ikan. Where do parrots go in the monsoon? And why do clouds occasionally cry? They're just talking about random questions together. Days passed, and all of a sudden a beast rose out of the sea, looking for wonder, for mysteries and thunder. Swim on, adventurers. Indonesia is near. Wow. A volcano erupted in the distance. Wah, it's Krakatoa, said Angus. We made it. In Indonesia, there's lots of Gunung Meletus volcanoes. A little bit like this one that this gentleman's viewing from afar, yeah? Gunung Meletus volcanoes are common in Indonesia. They're not always active, so they're not always scary. A striped tapir lounged on the shore. Salamat, the tapir hissed. Remember, salamat means greetings. The air was warm and the palm trees swayed. Bruno heard whimsical, watery sounds. Am I dreaming? Bruno wondered. No, said Agus. You are in Indonesia now, and that, my friend, is gamelan music. That's what you can hear. Gama what? Said the bat. Agus laughed. They make music. Come on, let's follow that noise, he called over his shoulder. And so they headed towards the gamelan orchestra, the sounds of the gamelan orchestra. Bruno and Agus swam from Aceh, where the trees were as big as bushes, to Java, where they're famous for coffee, and down to Bali to bask in the sun. So they followed this journey here. This is a map of Indonesia, but it doesn't really look like a map of Indonesia, does it? It looks a bit different. They went from Aceh, which is up here, down to Java, which is here. That's also where you find the capital, Jakarta. And then they swam on to Bali, which is just in here. All right. There are more than 17,000 islands that make up the country of Indonesia. That's pretty astounding, isn't it? In the Malaccas, they hunted the blue-feathered cassowary, the deadliest bird in the world. What's a cassowary look like anyway? I don't know, said Angus softly. No one has ever lived to tell the tale. Wow, Bruno thought, everywhere they went. Lihat itu, look at that. Dan itu and that. Dan itu and that. So many strange things to look at and discover. People in Indonesia wear crazy coloured clothes called batik, and they whisper sweet nothings to the bata kula monsters. They're the biggest and brightest monsters on the earth. Bruno stood up. He was so flipping excited. Kamu gila? Are you crazy? Angus said. You're crazy, but I like you, which is just about the biggest compliment that an octopus can give. Sounds like they're enjoying their journey together. Bruno and Argus explored the Borobudur temple. Borobudur is 1,300 years old, Argus explained. It's a magical man-made stone mountain, a crazy cosmology, the epicenter of the earth. Sometimes Argus sounded like he knows everything about everything, which he kind of does. This is a picture here of Borobudur. Borobudur is an ancient temple on the island of Java. They visited Argus's family in Cenderawasih Bay. The place was packed with peg-leg pirates, squids, sunfish, cuttlefish, and Technicolor dreamboats. Listen up, Angus, Mother said. Have you done your homework? Maybe Indonesia isn't so different from Florida, Bruno thought to himself. You have to do homework just like me after all. Well, in Jakarta, Bruno and Angus got stuck in traffic like forever. Sometimes traffic jams can go for hours in Indonesia. Di sini, there are 18 million people living in Jakarta. That's twice as many people as in New York City, and all of them are going one place or another. The air was thick and smug, and Bruno felt crazy. Bruno felt ravey. Bruno wanted to jump back into the ocean, which is exactly what Bruno did. Bruno was ready to go, ready to return. Somehow swimming back always seems faster than swimming out, but soon Bruno was home. Bruno looked around. Maybe Florida was just as exciting and as wonderful as Indonesia. The air was warm, the palm trees swayed. Bruno heard some far-away watery sounds. As Argus headed out into the open water, he recited one of his favourite poems. And the end of all your exploring will be to arrive where we started and know that the place for the first time. And that is the end of our story today. You can go on lots of adventures in your minds when you're at home using your imagination and your creativity. I'm going to get you to use your imagination and creativity to create a bit of an artwork inspired by some of the artworks that you've seen today. I'll put an example of a piece of work up on the website for you. Until then, I hope you enjoyed our story. Sampai jumpa!